Give me 1 second, still setting a few things up. Do let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me perfectly fine, because I don't want to be talking to no one or you're not even hearing me. So it would be great if you could let me know if you hear me. Also maybe let me know where you're from, where you're tuning in from, because yeah, I'm always glad to see that people from all around the world are tuning in. I'm here in Basel, Switzerland. And yeah, France. Davy Vagabond is probably from France or a French-speaking country. Nice, tuning in from Norway. That's definitely a country that's on my bucket list. Actually, we're either I went to Sweden 3 years ago, and we'd like to do a road trip with like a camper van through Norway, probably this summer. So I'm looking forward to that. Bonjour, David Vagabond. J'espère que tu vas bien. So I think we can soon start. If someone else is tuning in later on and looking at the replay, I'll be clipping everything and putting everything nice and neatly and putting them into some short snippets and sound bites. So make sure you check out the channel in maybe 1 or 2 days, and you'll see every little piece of information that I've shared in this live stream. So you don't have to go through the whole hour of live stream, but during the live stream, make sure to ask any questions. I might not answer them right away, but as soon as I'm going from one topic to the other topic, I'm actually going to maybe answer a few questions. Now, there are definitely a few questions that have been asked quite often, and if that is the case, then I'll refer you to my YouTube channel and tell you to search for the video there. Please don't take offense for that. But otherwise, every live stream is going to be the same. For example, should I buy now? And videos like that, I have published a few in the last few days. So that's for that. If you want to keep up to date with all the information that I'm posting, with some DeFi news, some super important crypto news as soon as I find it, make sure that you follow me on Twitter under your DeFi guide. I'll be, yeah, as soon as I find some gems, some information, some things that I think that you can actually use on your crypto and DeFi journey, I'll be posting it to Twitter. So yeah, I'm trying to reach 200 subs on Twitter. If you want to follow, you can head over. The link is down in the description below. And I'll share a little bit about what the agenda is of today. I've got a super packed agenda. I've actually got to speed through this because I've got an appointment later on to get some drinks. Basically, we're going to be covering some cryptocurrency news, ETH especially, looking at some fantastic sites that you can use, for example, to estimate what the fees are. We're going to be looking a little bit at the trend, comparing it with 2017, because I think this is great, because this can be a good gauge to see if we're actually at the top of the bull market, if we're at the beginning of the bull market, and so on. I'll be talking a little bit how to manage your emotions, because this is incredibly important. If you're new to the cryptocurrency space and new to Ethereum, this is like one of the most important things, because I'm sure you've heard of FOMO, and controlling your emotions is going to be the make or break for your portfolio. It can destroy your portfolio completely if you let your emotions control your investment decisions. On the other hand, if you manage to control your emotions, you're gonna probably make a pretty good profit during the bull run. Saludos, no hablos español, ma. Saludos. All right. Then afterwards, we're gonna be looking mainly today at ETH staking. I'm going to be sharing with you some ETH staking pools for people that have less than 32 ETH. I'm pretty sure that you'll find that valuable. There are a few staking pools that are already active. I'm going to be sharing with you some of the popular ones, giving a little bit of insights on the different tokens, because it's quite interesting. Some of the new staking pools that have emerged have also released their own tokens, like RETH or STETH, and I'll be explaining a little bit the differences. I won't go into too much detail over all the like the intricacies, but I'll give you a brief overview. And then I've got some goodie at the end. I've got I'm preparing a Google spreadsheet with all the staking pools and staking services options that will be free to access. It's not quite done yet, but I'll get to that at the end. And then that's probably it. I've got a nice project I'd like to share that will help you get super high yields, and it's got a very interesting concept. So that's basically the agenda of today's live stream. Make sure you like the video. If you're a new viewer, make sure to subscribe. I try and bring you weekly DeFi, crypto, Ethereum content so that you can make better investment decisions. I'm not telling you what to buy, what to sell, and so on, but I try and make you think in such a way that you actually make money when you're thinking about new assets to buy. And I'm trying to help you be your map and compass on your decentralized finance adventure. All right, let's get started. Maybe let's quickly look at the ETH price at the beginning. It's been phenomenal over the last few days. We've had a lot of volume, and I think this is great because a lot of volume when the price is rising means that there's a lot of interest. And it's not just like a temporary price increase. It's got a lot of backing. So with a lot of volume and price increase, we're pretty sure to reach the next resistance, which would be 1,400. And that would actually bring us back to the previous all-time high of February 2018. So I'm not sure if anyone here has experienced a 2017-2018 bull run, the terrible crypto winter. If you've managed to survive that, make sure you type it in the chat. I'd like to see who's been a tough fighter and managed to weather the crypto winter. Anyway, it's been a long time, around 900 days since we've actually seen these price levels. Now, it's going to be very difficult to estimate where the price is going to be after it passes above the previous all-time high, since we're entering into open territory and we enter into a price discovery mode. So it's the same as with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin passed the previous all-time high of 20,000, it entered into price discovery mode, and the rise for Bitcoin has been phenomenal. And of course, you cannot really compare like both assets and say that one asset is going to perform exactly the same as the other asset. But I think if you look at the fundamentals, what Ethereum actually brings to the table and the solutions that it can offer is a lot more than with Bitcoin. I think 2x, 3x from the previous all-time high is definitely in the books. So I would probably like to see a price target of around $2,400 in the next 1 to 2 months. Of course, it's possible that we see a short-term correction, maybe down to 800-900 range, touching the previous support line, which will be at around 800. So yeah, I'd like to see around $2,400, maybe a retest, maybe some trading between the 1,400 and 2,400 range on the weekly time frame. And of course, what I'd really like to see is a lot more volume. And the reason why I believe we're actually going to be going higher, and this is not the the end of the bull run is because of the amount of searches, the amount of popularity that Ethereum is gaining. Ethereum is still super undervalued. No one really understands it. I've asked quite a lot of people, even in the cryptocurrency space, to explain to me what exactly Ethereum does. And most people, they understand it as like a blockchain, and that's about it. They don't really understand that it's actually the massive engine that is powering a new financial revolution. And I think as soon as people understand that, they realize that at the moment Ethereum is massively undervalued. So Guillermo Prado, fantastic question. What do you think about correction? Does ETH continue mooning without correction? You're always going to have some corrections. But they're probably not going to be massive ones. So you might have like 10 or 20% corrections, but they're going to be very difficult to catch because they might happen in a single day. So if we look at the daily, you're going to often see 10, 15% moves up and down. But with the amount of volume, the amount of interest that is coming, it's possible that we don't really see a correction. Now, of course, I don't want to incite FOMO. I don't want people to think they're missing out. And we'll get to that in a bit. But basically, do not expect a correction and do not expect the price to go up. It's very difficult to see how it will evolve. It's like looking at a glass ball and looking into the future. No one really knows. But I guess if you look at the interest, you can assume that it's going to go up without a correction, or only smaller corrections. But very often you have like maybe 10 or 15% dips. All right. So I think this is really, really interesting. And this is actually the Google Trends search term for Ethereum now versus 2016 and 2018. So if you're familiar with Ethereum already in 2017, then you had the CryptoKitties, the ICO boom. You could just like throw money into any type of ICO and you could get like 10x, 20x returns. It was just crazy at the time. And of course, that brought a lot of people to the Ethereum blockchain. However, Ethereum at the time didn't really have that much to offer. It didn't have a DeFi space. You couldn't actually lock up your funds into Aave, Compound, Yearn Finance, and earn super high interest rates. Now, that's something that's been added. Well, it's been developing and now is thriving on the Ethereum blockchain. However, if you look at the search trends, so this orange line is actually 2018, and the blue line is from 2016, 18, and as you can see here, the search trend is nearly nowhere. Now there's no metrics saying like how high it actually is. It looks like 2.5 bars at the moment, and during 17 it actually went like maybe up to the 8th or 9th bar, which shows the interest. Even though it's gaining in traction in 2020, we're nowhere near the amount of interest that was garnered in 2017. So that actually shows or paints a picture of how early we actually are. And this is fantastic because that means the FOMO hasn't even started yet. I mean, of course, some people will FOMO because the price moved from 400 to 1,000 and it's close to the last all-time high. But I mean, people that FOMO'd into Bitcoin at 20,000, I mean, yeah, now they're up 2x their money. It's of course not the best comparison, but it's the closest comparison to make. So in my opinion, we're pretty early, and with the actual use cases that are being developed, it's not just speculation. It's actually pushing in quotation marks an operating system that's going to power the financial system. The traditional financial system is moving to public blockchains, and Ethereum is the main one at the moment. There are a few competitors, but they're nowhere near to Ethereum. Now, if you're interacting with dApps or sending transactions, I found this pretty awesome website called fees.watch, and here you can actually see the current ETH fee prices in Gwei. So 108 is fast, 96 medium, 74 is slow for Bitcoin, and here for Ethereum 104 fast, 75 is medium, and 63 is slow. But the smart contract fees are going to be a lot higher. So unfortunately, the fees are definitely something that's a big pain and makes the DeFi space a rich man's game, which is pretty unfortunate. But I guess that's the growing pain that Ethereum has to experience. And yeah, hopefully Ethereum 2.0 is going to be around the corner. I mean, there's so many ETH competitors. The thing is with ETH is with Ethereum is that they've got a massive network effect. They've got a lot of developers, so it's going to be very difficult for another blockchain to compete unless they develop some kind of ERC20 or smart contract converter to like vampire grab most of the dApps from the Ethereum blockchain and put it onto their own blockchain. Now Cardano is actually developing something like that. I'm not too familiar with Solana. It's very difficult to say. I don't think there's going to be one single blockchain running DeFi apps. I think in the next, let's say 3-4 years, you're going to have like many competing blockchains running DeFi apps. At the moment, Ethereum is the lead and others are catching up. So you've got Polkadot that's developing their DeFi space, and also Cardano, which is still working towards a Goguen, which is going to be pretty hot when that is released. Yeah, Cardano, I'm a big fan of Cardano. I've been following their development for quite a while. I actually like the implementations that they're creating in order to bring Ethereum DeFi apps onto the Cardano blockchain with I think it's the KVM and also Yele, which allows people that have programming knowledge to actually create smart contracts with their language of choice, be like C++, C#. And I think this is great because also Ethereum developers can create smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain as soon as Goguen is released. I believe Goguen should actually be it should be released probably March 2021. Hi there, Kierin. Do you also day trade? Actually, I've done a bit of day trading, but to be honest, it takes quite a lot of time, and unfortunately, I don't have the time since I'm working and I create videos, and I'm not as successful day trading as I'm hodling. So to be honest, I just actually hodl. Since the problem is with the cryptocurrency space is that the technical analysis is not always working as flawlessly as it should, because there's not that much liquidity. And that means even though a pattern shows one thing, it's very easy for whales to trick smaller traders by doing the exact opposite. So me, at the moment, I'm just doing long-term investing, and that's actually worked really well. And if you're not an experienced trader, I just highly recommend like 99% or 98% of your portfolios should be long-term investments, like several months, years, and so on, because that's how you're going to make the biggest gains with the least amount of effort and the least amount of stress, because day trading is like so much stress. It's really tough. I mean, investing in itself is already super tough. So I've got this fantastic article written by David Hoffman. He's from the Bankless YouTube channel. I think it's a fantastic channel, so if you've got the time, make sure to check them out. And I think this article is pretty good because he's actually comparing the traditional financial yields which are offered, and those are incredibly small. And yeah, I mean, you don't really find anywhere any yields comparable to the DeFi space, and that's why I think it's thriving so much. So for example, the 10-year treasury bond now offers less than 0.9%, so you have to actually lock up your funds for 10 years. So you buy a 10-year treasury bond and you only get 0.9%. The reason why it's so low is because it's actually in order to fight against the inflation rate, which is a lot higher, but 0.9% is just like peanuts. At around 2.1 to 2.3% AAA, corporate bonds aren't doing a whole lot better. So that's a pretty good reason why the DeFi space is thriving, because you've got returns of like 5%, 7%, 10%. And the funny thing is that those yields are considered super small by DeFi degens who actually want some 30-40% daily APY on some super risky projects. So yeah, I think it's super exciting. So I'm going to show with you some other ways that you can earn some yields later on. And I think this is one of the biggest proponents of the DeFi space. So if you're not really familiar with what DeFi exactly is, it's basically financial services, lending, borrowing, exchanges, everything that you can think of in the traditional financial world, insurances, real estate, and so on, just brought onto the blockchain. And it's brought in such a way that anyone can interact with these services with just a mobile phone, with an internet connection, and a little bit of knowledge. And you can already start earning 5%, 10%. If I send my friend 1 ETH, he can already lock up that, or he could settle that 1 ETH for USDC in a few minutes, and then send it to Aave, for example, and lock it up for 8%, which he couldn't do with a bank. And what else is he could do that without filling out KYC and documentations and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's fantastic. But of course, governments, regulations don't really think that's so great. So they're probably going to try and do everything they can to stop it. But like Bitcoin, the Ethereum blockchain is immutable. As soon as smart contracts are running on the Ethereum blockchain, there's nothing you can really do to stop them, especially if the DeFi app in question actually becomes a decentralized autonomous organization. So you've got a few. Synthetics is a pretty popular one. And there you don't really have a CEO that you can actually charge and say, hey, stop providing derivatives or stuff like that. And if you don't have such a decentralized autonomous organization, or you're not completely decentralized, then basically what happened to a Ripple and XRP is going to happen to another project. But luckily, most of the DeFi space is on its way to becoming decentralized. Many are not decentralized yet. So I think we can talk a little bit about emotions when investing, because I think this is the biggest problem that most investors have, because like as soon as money is involved, your thoughts get distorted. You don't know when to buy, when to sell, how long to hold. You're scared of losing your money. It's really crazy, especially if you're putting a lot of money into the cryptocurrency space, even though you're not supposed to, and many people still do. So this is from the Daily Grey Substack by Anthony Sassano, pretty great guy. And he writes, if you've had a long-term plan to sell, then it's probably best to stick to it and not get too greedy. Money makes greedy. I mean, it's if you've never experienced such a bull run, the double-digit profit per day, then it's very easy to be blindsided and realize, wow, this profit is fantastic, I'm going to retire soon, and so on. However, if you don't actually cash out this profit, it becomes unrealized profit. And yeah, it's also very difficult to know when the bull run is going to end. I mean, it's possible that it actually ends tomorrow, in 2 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years, who knows? It's very difficult to say. I just know that in 2017, sometime around December, we were talking like with friends, we were making these price estimations for like half a year later, and we didn't lo and behold, we didn't know that we were actually starting to enter into the biggest crypto winter that we were going to experience. So that's definitely tough when you actually make, for example, if you actually turn $10,000 into $100, $200, $300,000 and you think like, wow, this is fantastic. But then in the end, you never actually take any profit and it goes back down to 50, 40, and you don't really want to sell because before it was at 300 and now you can't sell because, yeah, your emotions actually get super distorted as soon as money is involved. And I think what is important is as soon as you start buying an asset, think about when your actual exit is going to be. I mean, I made a few videos about how to take profit. Make sure that you check those out because I think this is incredibly important. And the way that I'm taking profit is I'm selling like small percentages on the way up because that's the easiest way for me to still stay in the market. But at the end of the day, I still got some profit and liquidity left. And since I'm only selling small amounts, it means I'm not like emotionally triggered should the price like skyrocket and I feel like I'm missing out. So definitely do not sell your whole stack at the same time when you think it's a top. Maybe sell 5%, 10% or something like that. Yeah, and definitely make those plans as soon as you buy, because the funny thing is, as soon as the price reaches one of your targets, your mind starts to play games with you and you start thinking, oh yeah, but maybe I'll wait a little bit. It might go to the next all-time high. And yeah, and then before you know it, already dropped 20%. And then you definitely do not want to sell because the price was higher before. It's tough. So this is also to answer the following question. I see these questions very often by especially new investors because they're attracted by the massive price increase. So should I buy ETH as a noob? Hi, I just literally made up my mind about cryptocurrency, went from scam to telling my entire family about it and getting them involved in the market. Definitely a bad idea. Do not try and get your family involved in cryptocurrency without them actually understanding what it is and what the risks are. So should I buy ETH as a noob? What should I consider before I buy ETH today? Please help. I don't want to be financially yeah. And I think this is an important point because it's very difficult to give advice on when people should buy, when people should sell. And the only thing is, I think is important is understand what you're actually buying, why you're buying it, and if you understand, it also is less painful should the price drop 20%, 30% and so on. And then you can realize, all right, I'm willing to keep it for 2 years so the short-term price volatility does not impact you. But if you just buy it for the nice numbers on your mobile phone and the numbers goes up and you're happy, when the number goes down you're sad, then you probably shouldn't buy an asset if you really don't understand what it does. So yeah, fundamentals are super important, and especially if you understand the fundamentals of ETH, you understand why it's actually got some very good long-term possibilities to increase a lot more. So I think we talked enough about psychology and emotions. I know I've talked about this quite a bit, but I think it's incredibly important, and it's something that I can't stress enough, because I've seen with friends and people that actually do really bad trading decisions just based on their emotions, or they, for example, just go all in on one coin because they read one tweet and then afterwards the coin goes down. I mean, I know a friend, he just went all in on XRP, and even though now the stuff with the SEC is still not willing to diversify, yeah, I guess in the end he's gonna have to pay the consequences. Maybe he's lucky, but it's still a 50-50 gamble. I think a smart investor diversifies. Yeah. So let's look at some DeFi news that's actually been released. There's a new platform. Actually, the platform already exists, but a new version of AlphaHomora is coming to town. So this is a pretty fantastic platform that allows you to earn some yields. And they've got some beautiful graphics. The user interface is definitely delicious. I'll show you a picture. I think it reminds me a little bit about, of Ubuntu. The color scheme and so on. So basically what it allows you to do is lock up assets, earn some yield, very similar to to other liquidity protocols like Aave, but they've got a few additional features that I think are incredible, such as enabling leveraged yield farming. This is a new type of yield farming, definitely a little bit more risky, but you can earn a lot more yields. So you can actually leverage yield farm liquidity pools that are on Curve, Balancer, SushiSwap, and Uniswap. You can leverage yield farmers can take leverage on many assets, including ETH, stablecoins, and other assets. Leverage basically means that you can actually buy more of a certain asset than you have. The problem is if that asset actually drops in value, then you can be liquidated. That's where the risk comes in. So what is also pretty interesting is you can leverage stablecoins. So users can actually open up 9x positions on stablecoins. Even though stablecoins shouldn't actually really move from their peg, they typically do. So you sometimes see the USDC go from like 0.98 cents to 1.01 cents, depending on the liquidity and how much demand there is for that stablecoin. So you could actually enter into leverage positions. So they're pretty, that's pretty much it. There are a few other features. But I'll link it down below, or actually I might make a complete video about the AlphaHomora platform and show how it works and how to use it. This is just an update showing that they've implemented the version 2. So Bankless actually released some pretty fantastic predictions, and I'm going to steal them from them. Make sure to sign up to their newsletter. I think they've got a fantastic newsletter. They provide a lot of valuable information. Make sure to check them out. I'll link them down below as soon as this stream ends. So first prediction, ETH will cross the all-time high and hit $2,500, which is pretty good. I mean, they say they're more bullish. I'm also super bullish on Ethereum. My price prediction is like at $4,000 at the end of 2021. It doesn't have to be at the end, but at some point in 2021, it's gonna like top out at $4,000. That's my price prediction. Crypto becomes a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. We actually broke past $1 trillion, which is definitely a massive milestone. We're starting to enter the big hit playground, so this is pretty good. And yeah, I believe the cryptocurrency space just has a lot of room to grow. Multi-trillion-dollar is definitely capable, possible in 2021. Ethereum will settle more than 3 trillion, so 3x from last year. It should do that in 2021. At least 2 DeFi protocols will reach the top 10 in market cap. Pretty good. DeFi total market cap will cross $100 billion, and we're currently at 28 billion. So around 4.5x from 2020. This is actually pretty good if you think about the DeFi projects. Many of them have some good coins that have been very lucrative. Especially if you look at one of my videos I released in June, like best picks for 2020 DeFi gems. I think it was that video where I talked about Aave, synthetics, and so on. And most of those projects performed like phenomenally well in 2020. And in my opinion, since many of these projects actually earn revenue, they're probably going to increase by quite a lot in 2021 as well, because these projects have a very good use case. People use them to earn money. And when people use these projects, more fees are generated, and thus the value of the token also increases. Because people want to invest in that platform. So here you can see the best performing assets from 2020. So Aave, fantastic 4.4 4,400% gains in 2020, which is incredible. If anyone managed to snag up some of these DeFi gems when super cheap, then hats off to you. I go into Aave pretty low and synthetics. So Yearn Finance is definitely also a top contender with 2,851%. I actually made a video about Yearn Finance back when it was, I think, around $1,000. Unfortunately, at the time, I was like thinking it's kind of a scam project. I didn't really think it was that serious. And then I lost it out of the sight. And when I actually started looking at it again, it already had increased to 20,000 US dollars. And yeah, I wasn't really willing to spend more than I think 2 Bitcoins on this token. But yeah, with 30,000 tokens in supply, it's no surprise that it actually increased. I believe now it's very close to the 40K region, and it's possible that it actually outpaces the price of Bitcoin. I mean, with 30,000 tokens and Bitcoin has like 21 million, it's yeah, very possible. And Yearn Finance is also a platform that actually also earns quite a lot of revenue with their yield strategies. All right, so I'm gonna have to speed up a bit. The Cover protocol launches the new token, activates compensation plans. If you're familiar with Cover, they actually got hacked. It was a white hat hacker that exploited the protocol, and yeah, quite a lot of people lost funds. But now the Cover protocol has launched a new version of the Cover token, and I believe with a snapshot, they're actually also compensating the users affected by the hack. So now we're going over and looking at some of the great ETH2 staking solutions, but first let's quickly look at what the roadmap is for ETH2 if you're not already familiar with it. I like to always go over that because it shows that ETH is developing at a pretty fast pace and there's a lot to be expected in the next 2 years. So phase 2, that's what we had in December. With the launch of the beacon chain, meaning that proof of stake, that actually the ETH 2.0 chain has started with the beacon chain, which is like the main road, and people started staking their ETH, making sure that this beacon chain is secure and earning like a super good interest rate. At the beginning it was like a 20% APY, and now it went down to 12%. You had to like lock up 32 ETH. You can still do that. You can run your own validator, but it's pretty complicated at the moment. Actually, the price of a validator is probably around 38,000, 40,000 US dollars, which is definitely quite a bit of change. So phase 1 with the shards, basically the islands that will help the Ethereum blockchain to gain more scalability, is going to be introduced hopefully at the end of 2021. Now, of course, with Ethereum, delays are to be expected. I mean, the phase 0 got delayed a few times, so it's possible that phase 1 gets delayed as well. So 64 proof of stake chains with simple functionality. So the 64 proof of stake chains you can actually compare with 64 islands, and at the moment, the Ethereum 1.0 blockchain is just one island, so that's why it's so congested. Then you've got phase 1.5, which will actually allow the Ethereum 1.0 blockchain to be migrated in Ethereum 2.0. So it will actually be added onto one of the islands, and it will continue working from there. That means that you will also not have a second coin. The Ethereum that you know, or the ETH that you know, is going to remain the ETH that you know. You won't have like two different coins. So expected in 2021. Actually, I believe phase 2 is probably going to be also phase 1.5. I believe that's going to happen like 2022, and phase 2 is probably going to be happening 2022, 2023. So that's the shard chains are going to be fully functional, supporting accounts, smart contracts, enabling transfers and withdrawals. So actually the full functionality of Ethereum 2.0 is probably end of 2022, mid 2023. So definitely a bit, far away. I mean, in the crypto space, everything moves super fast. That gives other blockchains a bit of time to catch up, because Ethereum 1.0 DeFi space is a bit unusable at the moment with the super high fees. Now, if you've got less than 32 ETH and you'd like to actually start earning some staking rewards, there are quite a lot of solutions. So you've got custodial solutions, semi-custodial, non-custodial solutions. So for example, custodial, you've got all the popular ones you can also use, like Binance, Bitcoin Suisse, Anchor, Bison Trail, Staked, Dragon Stake, OKEx. I believe also Kraken also offers ETH to staking. And many of those allow you to stake with as little as 0.1 ETH. A few have like requirements of 1 ETH, but it's like very close to each other. A few allow you to actually withdraw the ETH that you've locked up. That means they allow you to have some sort of liquidity, and others don't. And then you've got the semi-custodial like Stake with Us, Stakewise, Attestant. You've also got Rocket Pool, which is pretty popular. Here are quite a few other ones that I've actually looked at. So Stake Capital, here's the amount that you can actually earn by staking with them. Now this amount of course varies depending on how much ETH is being staked on the Ethereum 2.0 blockchain. So you've got Stakewise, Rocket Pool. I actually made videos on Stakewise and Rocket Pool. You've got Guada Wallet, Lido Finance, Cream Finance, and a few of those actually have their own tokens, but more on that in a bit. Now, if you're actually interested in having a list of staking services, and actually compiling a list on Google Sheets here with all the staking services names, the validators, some information about the validators, the staking token, if they've got a staking token, the minimum staking amount, the fee, and also some additional information. Now this list is definitely not complete. I'll still be adding stuff and I'll be finishing up, but if you actually would like to access this list, you can actually fill in the form down below. I've actually attached it. It's just to add your email address, and probably in a few days I'll send out an email with a link to this list, as it's still not finished. But if you're interested, make sure to open up the link in the description, and you'll be signed out to my newsletter. I haven't started the newsletter yet, but I'll probably be starting it soon. So in addition to this Google Sheets, you also get access to the newsletter, which is completely free. All right, so there are a few staking services I'm a pretty big fan of. Now you've got, of course, Rocket Pool, which is supposed to launch in Q1 2021. And they've got the RETH token. So if we go back here, and I'll actually select if it's got a token, and I'll do yes. So here are the services with tokens, and the pretty cool thing is the ones with tokens, you can actually at some point buy those tokens on a decentralized finance service. Now, a few of these tokens have similar names or exactly the same names, but they actually do the tracking of the Ethereum 2.0 rewards or the pegging a bit differently. So for example, here I've got STETH from Lido Finance is different than STETH of Stakewise, but I'll go into detail with all of these tokens in a separate video. But if you're interested in something like that, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'll gladly speed up the process of that video. But yeah, if you're interested, sign up to the newsletter and you can get access to this list. And you can also see the different fees. I might be adding some additional information, such as what these tokens actually do, and so on. So yeah, Rocket Pool, pretty awesome project. Made a few videos on them. They're actually aiming to become a fully non-custodial provider, staking provider, also for the nodes. But for that, they have to wait for some updates on the Ethereum 2.0 blockchain. So that's why it's taking such a long time for them to actually provide the staking services. So you can actually stake your own Ether as little as 0.01. And when you actually stake your ETH, you receive the RETH token, which is a representation of your staked ETH. And this is pretty good because it means that your staked ETH is not locked up for 2 years. You receive this token that you could actually use on another platform, so you've got the liquidity. You can also run your own node with as little as 16 ETH and not the 32 ETH necessary. And you can also implement some dApps based on Rocket Pool. So Rocket Pool uses the RPL token, which is pretty good. That is especially useful for node operators. And you've got Stakewise, which is also a really awesome staking service, and they also have their own token, which is STETH. But I believe the liquidity here for your locked ETH is actually only available after phase 1 or phase 2. So when you lock up your ETH, you cannot withdraw it until, I believe, phase 1, even with the token STETH. Now, of course, it's possible that I'm wrong with that, but that's how I understood how the Stakewise token actually works and how the staking service actually works. So here as well, you can stake as little as 0.01. And they've got a very beautiful interface. You can actually start using the beta version of their platform on the, I think it's on the girly testnet. So you can connect, you change the main net to girly testnet, and then you can actually start trying and seeing how the platform works with some fake ETH, which it's pretty good. I think from the platforms that I've seen, the staking services that I've seen, Stakewise has a very beautiful interface, easy to use interface, and the team is also very friendly. And you've got Staffyio with their R token. So R token is actually a synthetic representation of your staked assets. That was pretty interesting. They offer quite a lot of staking options for also other projects, including EOS, Tezos, Atom, and also ETH. And you've got Lido Finance, and they've got their own token, which is STETH. And this STETH is actually a representation of Ethereum 2.0 blockchain. It's actually following the price plus the rewards, and this STETH you can actually start buying and providing liquidity for it on Curve Finance. So if you look at this, teleport to Ethereum 2.0 with this new staked ETH pool. So a new Curve Finance pool should make it easier to support Ethereum 2.0 and still use DeFi built on ETH1. So Lido is a staking solution that offers people the synthetic tokens STETH. So synthetic means that it's just providing the same price. It's not directly pegged. I think this is an important distinction to make. It's not directly pegged to the Ethereum 2.0 blockchain, but it's still pretty good. At the moment, me personally, I'm not staking using any staking services. I definitely want to see them audited before I use one of these decentralized options. I don't think any of them are audited, or possibly Lido Finance is audited, but I'm not sure about that. Now, the last project I'd like to share with you, and I think this is a super interesting project, and it's nothing to do with staking, but it has to do about earning yield on Ethereum 2.0 blockchain. It's a pretty new DeFi project, and of course with new DeFi projects you have to be super careful. There could be a smart contract hack, some economical arbitrage that happens that means that the funds get lost. So as always, use this at your own caution. Be really careful. Do not put in more than you're willing to lose. It's just like with every new DeFi app. As long as it's not tested, it's just an experiment and should be treated as such. So this is inverse finance, and I think this is an incredibly new idea and a very interesting idea. And basically, it takes the idea of providing liquidity and earning yield, but you're not earning yield in the same token that you provided. So for example, if you provide liquidity on USDC, on Aave, you will earn some USDC. Now in inverse finance, if you provide liquidity, for example, for so you provide DAI on inverse finance, you can actually earn wrapped BTC as the yield. So the yield that you be earning is automatically exchanged to wrapped BTC. And this is pretty great because that means that you're actually earning an asset that could actually increase in value. And the same here with the Wi-Fi pool. So here you can submit DAI, you can lock up some DAI. For example, here you lock up 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 DAI, and you would be earning 6.8%, and you would earn this percentage in Wi-Fi token. And here's the last one, which is with the ETH token, you'll be earning your yield in ETH. And I think this is fantastic. I mean, of course, the assets, underlying assets don't always increase in value. They can also lose in value, but over time, over a longer period of time, they should actually, in average, increase in value because of the use case behind it. So yeah, that was it. Definitely a lot of information. Hope some people are still awake. If you've got any questions, definitely hit me up in the chat. I'll stay online a few minutes to answer your questions, be it about staking, DeFi apps, tokens, projects, whatever you like to ask me. I'm still on for a few minutes. Let's see how many people are still watching. How many people are watching currently? Let me check. Yes, so Stefan Meyer, please do a Cardano video. What exactly would you like to know about Cardano? Like, would you like to see what Cardano is doing in terms of projects, in terms of development, or is it more of a price prediction? What type of video are you more interested in? Stefan Meyer. Shadow King, where do you see ETH price at the end of this year? My price prediction for the end of this year is $4,000. Now, not exactly on the last day of the year, but I estimate that the price should reach $4,000 sometime from now until the end of the year. Davey Vagabond, last question. Do you see potential development apps on ETC? Sorry, no. I think the community has chosen the winning chain, and that's Ethereum. I don't see any future for Ethereum Classic. To be honest, I've not been following the development of Ethereum Classic, especially after the 51% attack. I believe they experienced like 2 51% attacks in August. So yeah. You should maybe, Stefan Meyer, you should actually look at my Ethereum 2.0 price prediction video. I believe I uploaded it in August. You can search on my channel. I did quite a lot of price predictions based on some solid fundamentals. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the price should move towards like $10,000 around 2025. But $10,000 would be like the lower end. Shadow King, okay, where do you see Bitcoin at the end of this year? I also made a price prediction for Bitcoin. I believe 100,000 is like the lower end, and is definitely possible. It's just like 2.5x from now. I think that's definitely a possibility. But like with always with these price predictions, it's possible that it happens. It's possible that it doesn't. Very important that you don't base your investments on these price predictions, but you base your investments based on the fundamentals behind the projects. You understand, like, wow, Bitcoin is far superior to gold. It's a great asset to hedge against inflation. Ethereum is basically the bank and the whole traditional financial space. And yeah, when you understand these things, you realize that these predictions I made are pretty undervalued. It's very difficult to actually say if one project is better or not before they actually show what they're capable of. I like the idea behind Cardano. Now the only thing that is remaining for them is the execution part. Now they've proven that they could implement Shelly pretty well. The staking on Cardano is fantastic. I really like the staking mechanism with the delegated proof of stake. Super easy to use. You earn like 4% by locking up your Cardano. Now, I've read a lot about what they're planning to do. Now it's about them implementing what they said. I believe at some point they were saying that Goguen should have released in December, but that was postponed. Now it's being released in March. So they definitely have to really get started, get their smart contracts running, their smart contract converter, and as soon as that's running, there's going to be a lot of heat on Ethereum. And then it's about users are going to have to choose the chain that works for them the best. Users are going to have to choose a blockchain that provides the lowest fees and lowest and highest transaction speeds. So yeah, I think Cardano has a lot of potential, but they're going to have to prove themselves. It's basically that. But yeah, I've got a sizable investment in Cardano. I've been for them for quite a while. Started buying their tokens back when I think it was like 2 or 3 cents. So that was pretty good. So yeah, that was it basically for this video. I'm gonna have to leave soon. Last burning question is gonna be leaving at in 2-3 minutes. If you've got any last questions, otherwise I'll be closing the stream. I'll be cutting it up and uploading different segments either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. If you want to stay in the loop, definitely make sure that you subscribe. If you're a new viewer, you won't want to miss out on videos that I upload. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Yeah, your DeFi guide. Stefan Meyer, I assume you're from the US. It's a bit of a tough one. I'm only like a little bit familiar with the taxation situation in the US, and as far as I understood, it's not super clear how staking rewards are taxed. In Switzerland, it's super easy. I mean, staking rewards is actually counts as wealth, and in Switzerland, as long as you're below $70,000 in wealth, you have no taxes on your wealth, and above $70,000 in wealth, you get something like 0.14%. So if you've got like $500,000 of wealth, you would pay maybe $3,000 in taxes. Oh yeah, Stefan Meyer. Okay, I think Germany also has pretty high taxes. Yeah, it's I'm really not familiar with the taxes in Germany. I believe you've got the short-term capital gain tax. So, for example, if you sell an asset like within a year, you have to pay a lot higher taxes. But I'm speaking out of my depth in terms of taxes. I think you would have to look at what is actually being discussed and how it's going to be taxed. But I believe if you keep your Cardano on such a staking pool and you're not selling it, it's possible that it's either taxed as a dividend or like the same with stocks. That might be possible. But yeah, I'm really not familiar with the taxation system in Germany. Thanks a lot, Davy Vagabond. I really appreciate your comment. And yeah, so that was it for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a fantastic weekend, and yeah, stay safe. Bye bye.